This contains no spoilers. Sorry, but there will be no Dong Discourse today, ladies and gents. If you want that, check out my podcast, Dong Discourse. I'm kidding, that's not really a podcast, unless. Greetings, gamers, and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Connor Monroe, and this is the Top 10 Scary Cyberpunk 2077 Creepypastas. Let's do it. In the 10 console. The console version of Cyberpunk 2077 is glitchy, and I mean glitchier than the rest. The textures won't load and the game runs at such a low resolution that basically any video on the internet from 2005 is better quality. But it was when I got further into the main story that things got even worse. There was this character named Brendan that showed up later in the story. I won't get into it to avoid any spoilers, but for some reason this guy would never load with any textures. He would just be a really low polygon model of a person with blank colors, like they were from the first Grand Theft Auto or the boat people from Spider-Man PS4, but worse. Now, I didn't think anything of this until he never loaded any textures, even later in the game. I got confused and honestly figured it was something they had programmed in as a joke, but when I looked up this character, he didn't exist. There was no information on him. He shouldn't have been in the game. Nobody else had met him, and everyone thought I was just trolling. How could that be? He's standing right in front of me. At least he was. Where'd he go? In a 9 distant memory. I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 and it's really boring. I know what's gonna happen next, it's predictable, it's nothing new. Sure, the open world aspect is interesting, and the world would be really interesting to explore, but it's like I already know this world like it's the back of my hand, like I grew up here, like it's my home. The whole story is so familiar to me that I can't quite put my hand on why. I didn't work on the game, I certainly didn't playtest it, I don't think anyone playtested it, but it still feels like I remember it. I remember the brain dances, I remember what it feels like to be shot during a brain dance. I remember Johnny Silverhand, but it's not like I remember it on a screen. I remember it as an experience, like this was my life, but it's not. My name is Victor and I grew up in Queens. It's like I have 2 different lives in my head and this game just jogged my memory. Could this be? No way. There's no way. Is there? Could this have been my life? That they turned my life into a game and released it to the public centuries before I was born? Would that mean I was reincarnated? No, that's impossible, right? If you guys are enjoying the video, be sure you hit that like button to let us know so we know what you want to see more of and we know what we're doing well. In it 8 game breaking. Cyberpunk is full of bugs. We've known this since launch, but I'm pretty confused as to how they're not fixed. It's been a week. It shouldn't take that long to fix some missing textures and the really game-breaking bugs. This bug, however, was the ultimate game-breaking bug. I'm playing the game on the Xbox Series X, so I was able to get a disc copy online, even though it cost me more than going to a store. I played through the first missions and got to the part where the world was open to me. I was running around learning the environment, but I kept getting thrown around to random places and into random walls while I was in my car. The real bug came when I was getting out of my car though. V got out and stepped onto the street, then all of a sudden the car flipped over and crushed me. The game went black and then my Xbox shut down. I turned it back on and it immediately ejected the disc. Well, half of it anyway. The disc had broken in half, as if someone had hit it with a hammer or stomped on it. Or maybe if it was run over by it. No, that's stupid. Now my game is broken and so is my Xbox, and I can't get a refund on either because of it. And at 7, all pain, no gain. Playing through Cyberpunk 2077, there are a lot of ways to augment your character. These are through basic cybernetic implants and additions to your character that causes them to go through some basic form of surgery. The doctors in game give them a form of anesthesia that gets injected into the place getting the surgery, but for some reason it didn't work for me. And I don't mean my character, I mean me. Everyone was hyped over these new DualSense PlayStation 5 controllers, but these vibrations are too realistic. The first time you get an enhancement, you get one on your hand that shows you your ammo count on your HUD. But while the doctor is talking to you, you can see the cybernetic being put onto your hand. Then he upgrades one of your eyes, taking out the old one and replacing it with a new one. Your screen goes black at this moment, but I knew what was happening. I could feel every second of it. I could feel the tool taking out my eye. I could feel my hand getting blasted with a laser. And oh my god, do you need anesthesia? This hurts so bad, please make it stop. I can feel my hand burning. It's been days. I don't have the recovery items from in-game because it's supposed to be a game. Ah! And at 6, Stadia. I heard that Cyberpunk ran perfectly on Stadia. The game was supposed to be flawless, aside from having to pay $100 a month in order to access it. Playing on the Stadia was interesting. I never expected to play a AAA game on my smartphone, especially one like Cyberpunk 2077, but trust me, this is not a sponsored story. The way the game played was fine, but the story was morphed. It was just a way to try to sell me more things. I want another character? Pay for it. I want to reload an older save? Pay to unlock it. The only thing that was included with the base price was was one chance at the story, with you reloading your previous save whenever you die. No do-overs, no reloading unless you die, no more money in my wallet. But hey, at least the game ran fine, right? Aside from the damn trees that kept popping up, but same thing happens on PC. Halfway through number 5, Control. I bought Cyberpunk 2077 on Steam last night and installed it while I slept. The game was ready to go in the morning, but I had to wait until I got home from work. When I got home, it was around 9 p.m. I worked long hours and even longer on the weekends, but at least when I got home I could play some of the story. I chose my character and backstory and then played through the starting mission. After this, I head back to my apartment and go to sleep in my bed, as the story told me to. But for some reason, V slept horizontally, with only half of his body on the bed. I figured it was one of the many glitches I'd experienced, but it had gotten late, so I decided to go to bed. I fell asleep the normal way, but when I woke up, I think I slept on my back wrong. I checked my security camera to see if I had done anything that would have hurt me, and at 4:36 a.m. I see the most disturbing thing. I see me, sleeping normally, but then my body rotates 90 degrees, with my lower half hanging off the bed, but floating. I didn't push myself or move my body, I just rotated as if by magic. I rotate back just before waking up, but that was one of the most disturbing things I had ever seen. Coming in at number 4, NPC. Cyberpunk claimed to have such a vast RPG experience that you would hardly see the same NPC twice, and never two at the same time. I didn't know how that was possible, since even Grand Theft Auto, a game known for its vast open world, had multiple of the same NPC design. But it wasn't until recently that I found out how they got their wide array of NPCs. Us. I installed the game on my PS4. I knew it was glitchy, but they said you'd get a free upgrade to the PS5 version, so I figured it would be worth it in the end. The game was running terribly, so I decided to mess around with my settings to try to fix it, but it didn't work. I even tried updating the console, but I got nothing. At one point the game crashed and got stuck, so I had to unplug my PS4 to get it to shut down. When I did, the power cord shocked me pretty badly, but it didn't really affect anything, so I figured I was fine, until I wanted to head out to the grocery store. When I stepped outside, I was no longer in Washington, D.C. Instead, I was in Night City. There's a reason the game is glitchy. It's to get more NPCs for their highly immersive world. Getting close to the end in number 3, Ripped Copy. Buy your copies legally. That's all I can say. Don't torrent games, don't buy burnt CDs, just get it off Steam or in a store like you should, even if it's to save money. If you want a game, the least you can do is support the people who worked so hard to make it. I didn't understand this until a few days ago, where I bought a ripped version of Cyberpunk 2077 from some guy on Reddit so I could save some money. The dude wanted it gone, so he was only charging $10. I figured it was odd, but maybe he was worried he'd get in trouble for pirating a copy. I loaded the game into my PS4 and it was horrendous. It was horribly glitchy and laggy. I figured it was because of the ripped disc and that's why the guy wanted to get rid of it, but then my PlayStation changed. The homepage went from blue to yellow and everything became Cyberpunk themed. At first I thought it was cool, until it started learning everything about me. And more than just a YouTube targeted ad kind of thing, but more of the old I want to know everything about you kind of thing. I sold the PlayStation with the copy after clearing all of my data, but the yellow was still there. Deleted my account after I sold it. I don't want this thing trying to sleep in my bed anymore. Penultimately in at number 2, VR. I was browsing through some of the lesser known VR game indie websites when I came across something strange. Someone claimed to have ported Cyberpunk 2077 into VR. I was of course intrigued by this and it was free, so I downloaded it and loaded it up. The game was just as glitchy as the main version. I guess they just really did port it instead of, fixing the glitches. But the character customization was smooth. I spent a load of time customizing my character, as one does with an RPG, but then my alarm goes off. I work nights as a security guard in a local museum of sorts. I head to work, but then the front desk guy, Marty, stops me from getting in. He asks me who I am and asks to see my ID card along with my driver's license. I figured it was a joke, so I showed him, laughing. But when he sees them, he immediately calls for security. They come running out and in a panic, I run back home. I was so confused and worried. Why would he call security on me? I am security. I keep thinking of all the reasons he could have done that while heading to the bathroom to splash some water on my face so that I could calm down, but when I walk in, I see why they didn't recognize me. I look in the mirror, and instead of my face looking back, I see my character, realistic as all hell and just as I made him. I run back to my game to maybe change myself back, but then the game was gone from my system. I hear a knocking at my door. This is the police! Open up! Finally, in at number 1, the big glitch. I was playing Cyberpunk on my computer. Even if it wasn't the highest NPC one could get, I still heard the game was most stable on PC. I downloaded and installed the game and played for as long as I could. By the time I was done, it was around 3 in the morning, Pacific time. As a joke for me, I unplugged the controller I was using and put the other side of the cord in my ear. I felt a slight tingle and took it out instantly, worried I was gonna fry my brain. I felt fine, so I went to bed and fell asleep. Normally, not with half my body laying off the bed. When I woke up, my boyfriend was next to me, still asleep. I sat up and he said, "Hey you, finally awake." I didn't know him to make Skyrim references, but when I turned around it wasn't my boyfriend. No, I didn't even have a boyfriend. Laying beside me was Johnny Silverhand, a character in the game that infects your mind after you implant yourself with a chip in order to keep it safe. The part of the game I had just finished when I put the controller cord to my head. I'm currently playing the rest of the game, trying to find a way to get him out of my head. Maybe if I can do it in game, I can do it in real life. There we have it, friends, the top 10 Scary Cyberpunk 2077 Creepypastas. Which one was your favorite and have you converted into an NPC? Let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.